Welcome to Arts and Music. I am your host, Victor Janflone. Today on Arts and Music, I am pleased to bring you two guests. First is Jan Vojta, talking about the old Pittsburgh punk rock days. And second, a band called Scattergun, a punk rock band from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Welcome, Jan Vojta. How you doing, Jan?
Oh, pretty good. Hey, thanks for having me on. I don't know what kind of expert you have here, but I was around for a lot of this going on, so hopefully I'll be able to add and tell some of the kids out there, what punk rock was,
So when did you become a part of the punk rock scene? Going back to your beginning.
Well, you're young, you're angry, there's a youthful rebellion, and I just loved rock. You were just listening to The Who, The Stones, Street Fighting Man, the songs that would get you up and, get you angry, get you motivated, look forward to shows, saving up your money, going down to the Civic Arena. Just looking at the performers who were just dots way far down, and then trying to be part of that with the crowd around you. And sometimes when the concert let out, there would be, I wouldn't say a riot, but there'd be some action going on, and that was exciting. It was something about being in the street with a lot of other people, like-minded people. There was like a sort of angst that you wanted to get out, and I think that's common with a lot of young people growing up. And there's only so many times you can hear those bands. It was something that was an album, and I was at a party, and someone brought this album. It was really oddly colored. It was a fluorescent green and orange. It was Nevermind the Bollocks, Sex Pistols. And I could not believe when I first put the needle on Holidays in the Sun, and it was just that the drums and the guitar, it was just what I was waiting for. I didn't know it was just coming along like this, and it just hit me like a ton of bricks. I actually stood by there. I didn't know if I broke a bottle or what that night to keep people from changing it. And I just had to keep hearing it over and over again. And from then on, the die was cast.
So do you feel that the Electric Banana was the main punk club at the time? And if it was, you share some of these, or these banana...
Oh, yeah, these flyers. It's stretch marks. If there was any place that could be the central scene to Pittsburgh, it was the Electric Banana. Stretch Mark Show, Dr. No, Suicidal Tendencies. This was one show that I thought that it was actually the club was going to roll down the hillside. The underside of the club was two simple pylons holding up the whole place, and we had gone back there to drink beer before a show one time. And so I thought, with this many people, this is just going to rumble down the hillside, and just a punk rock freight train, as it were. Here's Half-Life, who opened for every show around there. Here's a band with raw power. They're from Italy. They stayed with me. Sam Hain, which was early Glenn Danzig after the Misfits. And this flyer here was the Five. Now, this was an important flyer because this has sort of changed early punk to later punk from the Five, which was an earlier Pittsburgh band. Car Sickness and the Five were the two main bands when punk first took hold here. They played in a lot of underground shows, people's basements, church basements, any club we could get. There would be these guys would play, and they were great shows. But it was an older crowd. Not a lot of kids. I was pretty young in that crowd, but I was kind of like in the corner, and I was, around for all this. They lived in a house down on on Forbes Avenue. It was the Krishna House, which is down from CMU. It used to be Hare Krishna House. And they lived down there, and, there was all kinds of activity going on down there, and I was in and out of there a lot. But this show here, this is where the Five was going to Boston, and they sort of handed the torch off to the younger guys, Half-Life. And the look went from the older, spiked hair with leather trench coats and bourbon drinking to the younger kids with mohawks, skateboards, and bondage jeans. It changed a lot, and from then on, Half-Life was the band that they were just opened up for everyone that came through. And there was a lot of great shows. the Electric Banana was like my living room. It was just so comfortable to be there. Just the stage was so small. A stage dive off the bar would just put you halfway across the club. It was a really interesting dynamic when the place was so full of people you could hardly move. Getting from front to back, Circle Jerks, Black Flag, the Suicidal Tendencies shows were just as many people as could fit in there. It was like potato chips in a Pringles can. It was just a massive amount of folks, but it was just quite a time. Very exciting, very exciting.
Okay. Do you think most of your shows you went to was
Yes.
venue?
I'd have to say most of them were the Electric Banana. That hall, that dark hall before you would get into the Banana, it was like a tunnel in a haunted house at Kennywood. And then the door would happen, and then as it would open, and we'd just get blasted with sweat and noise and just sounds from inside. It's just all so familiar. Just every inch of that place was just like living room growing up there. Yeah, most of the shows were there too. A lot of touring bands came through. There was a period where they weren't coming through. The owner threatened some band at gunpoint, and a lot of bands were very connected on the road. They would tell each other about that, and so we were losing a lot of shows. They would go down to the Underground Railroad, Morgantown, and some other places rather than come to Pittsburgh, so I found myself going down there to see some of the bands because they were avoiding Pittsburgh for a while. But yeah, probably more than any other place, there was, the Electric Banana was punk rock center in Pittsburgh.
What stands out the most for a memory for you for a show at the Banana?
Cro-Mags. Oh God, I love that. I love that show. When I walked in there, I said, "Oh, that's a cool name for a band." And I got in there, and these guys, just heavily tattooed, the Krishna core, and John Joseph's up here, and just these are songs. Oh, it was just incredible. I was just blown away. I never missed GBH, one of my favorite bands from England. Cro-Mags blew me away. In fact, they were supposed to come back 3 more times, and they canceled every time, and I was so disappointed. I've got to see these guys again. Just knocked me out. Corrosion of Conformity and D.R.I, Dirty Rotten Imbeciles. That was a Corrosion of Conformity Animosity Tour. Was a show that I just probably moshed. I thought I would have a heart attack because I couldn't stop. The music was just that strong, that powerful. If you listen to Animosity, that was one album that I was listening to almost constantly that summer. And Woody, the bass player, was outside. And I remember he looked down and there was a sandwich that was covered with ants, and he picked it up and brushed some of the ants off and started eating it. And that's punk rock. I was like, wow, this is great. Yeah, those are strong memories. Suicidal Tendencies had a punch. Dr. No was real great show. Fang.
Danzig there?
Sam Hain, I've seen Sam Hain there. Danzig started at City Limits for his first solo tour, and then I ended up working as a stagehand for every Danzig tour through, except the last one came down to a place downtown called Stage A&E, and I did not work that. But Sam Hain was the band after the Misfits, and a huge Danzig fan with anything he's done musically. I never saw the Misfits, which, to my lament, but I've been trying to make up for it since just getting old material and listening to people's tapes and discs they have of the Misfits. But Sam Hain, I've seen 7 times. In fact, one time at Pitt, they played a Halloween show, and it was in an auditorium. The floors were so slippery that we had a human pyramid about 7 people tall. The people were getting crushed underneath, and as they were gasping for breath, Glenn was putting his microphone in these people, and they were trying to sing these songs, but they couldn't generate the breath because they were being crushed from the weight of the people from above. And I thought it was kind of amusing, but just people would not get off, and it was just, that was just a great Halloween show. Sam Hain was just, the look, the sound of it, it was horror rock. Just big, beefy guys playing very strongly. And though there was dark bands out there, the goth thing that's come up around that, back then it was a very small side thing. And the look, you know, the horror makeup, the black clothes, et cetera, and it wasn't nearly as big as it would have generated. But no, I have a special fondness for anything Glenn Danzig's ever done. And he's still out there, he's still touring. Tremendous bands, some of the, you know, Reincarnation, some of the guys he's had with him. So, one of my faves.
So what do you think led to the demise of the Banana? Why did the Electric Banana stop
Well,
having bands?
Everyone gets older. You know, it's hectic, you know, to keep putting bands, you know, having a club, having a nightclub, you know, the hours, being up all night, you know, dealing with a lot of drunks and rowdy people, you know, the sound. I don't know. I guess maybe the owners, well, it's now a restaurant, Zara's. And I've eaten there once. It's really, actually really good. Owner's wife could really cook well. In fact, a lot of bands had mentioned that and had gone back to the Banana, even if they weren't playing there, to eat there. And the wife would break out some old favorite meatball sandwich and things for some of the bands. I remember Social Distortion, you know, I was a real big fan of that. So restaurants sprung up from that too. I guess just age, you know, though things were changing with Pittsburgh, you know, not having a band to focus around, that did a lot to, you know, not have a center core. You know, the bands were playing other places too. At that point, you know, Metropole and some places in the Strip were starting to take over. Things like that led to that too. I don't know if it was economic or just other factors, you know, just other alternative places, you know, that were going on at the time.
I'd like to wrap that up here with Jan, and thank Jan for being on the show. And our next guest will be Scattergun.
They're great. I mean, you'll really enjoy them. There's just a tremendous amount of energy, and I know they'll go far. So, thank you, Vic. Thank you for having me on. Hopefully, I was able to shed a little light on things. So,
Right on.
okay.
Thank you.
Enjoy.